What do I say when I really do not want anyone to know my business? Do I tell the good parts and leave out all the ones that truly made me the woman I am today? Do I dare say that standing before you today is a woman that was ambushed with gunshots while leaving a nightclub, a woman that has been to the Department of Corrections twice, the first time serving a 10-year sentence, the second time serving a 3-year sentence? Or do I share how me and my sister, ages 4 and 5, waited for my mother at a table for hours to come back with cereal that she said she was going to get because we were all out? Thank God for the unknown man that asked me if there was anyone I could call. Me and my 5-year-old sassy voice responded, "I can call my grandmother." He took me and my sister to a tavern below the apartments we were in. As we approached the phone on the wall that was too high for me to reach, I instructed the unknown man to hold me by my waist and lift me up to this phone. He put the money in the phone. I dialed 224-5837. As my loving, supportive, sweet grandmother answered, I said, "Grandma, my mama went to the store to get some cereal and she did not come back. This man brought me down here to call you and he is holding me by my waist." She talks to the unknown man and in no time, she was there to pick us up. That was the beginning of a bond that could never be broke. Unfortunately, we would not see my mother again until 7 years later. My childhood was filled with love and all the things that I can imagine I needed or wanted, but nothing fills the void of longing for your mother. Every time the doorbell rang, I hoped it would be her waiting on the other side saying, "I am here to get you." Sadly, that day never came. She would come every few years for a couple of days, and those would be the happiest days of my life. I would sit by the couch talking and answering my own questions. She would be lying on the couch, sleeping, not really hearing me, but I didn't mind. All that mattered is that she was there next to me. As time would pass, her visits would become shorter and the years in between would become longer, leaving the worst pain in my heart. When you experience a pain this deep at such a young age, it builds a wall of anger and resistance as tough as the pain that lies within your heart. With time and age, I would learn the cause of my mother sleeping when I was talking to her would be due to her heroin addiction. This caused so many feelings that I was too young to understand or process, and once again, adding to the already mountains of pain that I was already feeling. Every time she would visit, I would beg to go. It would be all to no avail because she would leave without me. As I got older, I had accepted the fact that I would never ever live with her, and there would be no mother and daughter days waking up to her making breakfast, or all the things I wished for as a little girl that loved her mother despite her flaws. I am becoming a teenager now, and nothing could hurt or affect me. After all, what is feelings when you long for your mother that you see every 4 to 5 years? She keeps leaving as you cry for her to stay longer or come back sooner. Keep in mind, I still have my grandmother, and she was always reminding me she loved me and would always be there for me, but there was still that desire for my mom's love and presence I craved for constantly. I became pregnant at 17, and life was getting the best of me. Despite the sounds of my sweet grandmother pleas for me to be a good girl and do the right thing, I still ended up in a gang and becoming more involved in it and all its activities. Eventually leading me to be shot in the abdomen and landing myself handcuffed to a hospital bed with charges that would lead me to my first sentence to Department of Corrections. All through this nightmare, my grandmother was right by my side. During my first time in prison, unfortunately, I lost my grandmother, my rock, the one who was always my cheerleader, no matter how much I did or how bad it looked. 2 months after being released, my son's father was killed. Not another blow, I thought. Then I said, at least I still have my baby and my mom. This will get me through life. She was calling and coming around frequently, so things were manageable. One day she called and asked me to come to an address. It was a nursing home. I get there, and as I approach, they all ask me all of these questions, and finally my mom appears and says, "Hey, Donna," as she always did when she greeted me. I asked, "Mom, what's going on?" She replied after a very long pause, "Donna, I have AIDS." This could not be happening, I thought. We just started hanging out and building the mother and daughter relationship I longed for all my life. I did not have a relationship with God, but surely he could not be allowing this to happen to me again. As time passed, I would visit my mom daily, and for 10 months, that was the happiest time of my life. Unfortunately, my mom died. I was so numb and so angry. I could not understand why this is happening to me. why God would allow everything he knew I loved and loved me to leave me. During my second sentence, I was having my son brought for visits. During a visit, we were getting ready to end the visit. When this happens, the visitors are asked to make their way to the front of the visiting room, and inmates are asked to stay at their table. All the visitors were standing at the front. My son was standing at the front with my friend, and he broke away and ran to me, and he held onto my leg and cried so hard. The visitor room became silent. Everyone was looking at me and my baby. I asked him what was wrong. Was something hurting him? Or was anyone hurting him? He just kept crying so hard. Finally, the guard stated, "Crowder, you can have a little more time." Finally, he looked at me and said, "Mom, I just want you." It was at that moment I was determined to break the chain of trauma in my life, and I seen that I was doing to my son what my mother did to us. I looked him in his face and promised he would never have to be separated from me again. After being released, I was determined to work as much or wherever to provide the life my son deserved and ensured he would never cry like that again. At least it would not be for the presence of his mother. I moved to Peoria to leave the life as I knew it in Chicago behind. I put in applications for what seemed like every company in this town, but I was rejected due to my background. Finally, I came to a place called Community Action Agency, now PCCEO. A lady was walking to her car. I did not know her, but I knew that I was tired of getting rejected, so I was just going to tell the truth. As I was going up, I stopped her. I stopped her and said, "Excuse me, I am looking for a job. I have been to prison, but all I want to do is take care of my son." She asked me to come in, and the rest was the beginning of the turning point of turning my life around full circle. I wouldn't be telling the truth if I told you I was the perfect employee. The whole 12 years was not easy, but thank God they stuck with me because I was rough. But I was committed, loyal, and kind to clients, and that is what I think they thought about the many times they wanted to let me go. Not to mention God was truly looking out for me. I did not understand why they did not want my friends to hang out with me all day at the front desk to see I had a legal job now. Thank God for the patience of my then supervisor. This is why when people ask me why I do so much to help others, I have no response, because all I can do is think of the unknown man who helped me and my sister, because things could have went totally different. The guard from the nightclub that advised my friends not to move me when I was lying on the ground shot up because the bullet could travel and kill me. The doctors that patched me up, the bullets that missed me in the several drive-by shootings, the relationship with God I have built, the relationships in Peoria that I am so blessed to build. The children that I am blessed to work with after people constantly told me I would never be able to work in schools due to my background. I work in 3 schools now. The lady that stopped in the parking lot when I was losing hope, looking for employment, turned out to be PCCEO's human resource manager. Not to mention being invited by the jail superintendent to speak at an event for women, I leaned over to tell her, "I just want to let you know I do have a background." She leaned back over to me and replied, "I know." This was beyond groundbreaking for me, to be asked to speak to ladies sitting in seats and circumstances I once sat in. Gives the true meaning of holding on to God's grace and mercy and unchanging favor. I prayed one night and asked God to please help the people that are hurting. He replied, "That is why I saved you. Show them what I brought you through and to." I only hope to leave everyone here with nothing more than the importance of being kind and giving people that you are blessed to meet in your life, a heart to love and forgive, and a hand of grace.